Now, one of the skills that you need to learn at GCSE is how to find the formula of an ionic compound if you're given the ions and their charges. You'd probably be given a table of ions and asked to predict what the formula of a particular compound might be made out of those. So we're going to look at the skills that you need in order to do that under exam conditions. So they'll give you the formula of the positive and the negative ions, and you have to work out the formula of the compound that's being made. Here's a selection of ions. We've got, for example, some metal ions, which of course are going to be positive ions like sodium and potassium and magnesium and calcium, and you can get an idea of the charge of ions by the group they're in, because, for example, sodium and potassium being in group 1 will lose 1 electron and have a 1 plus charge, whereas magnesium and calcium in group 2 will have 2 plus charges. Chlorine in group 7 will gain an electron to form a chloride ion, 1 minus, whereas oxygen in group 6 will gain 2. There are also some other ions which are dotted around the periodic table, less easy to predict, and also these what are called compound ions, often found in acids and alkalis, and these ones I'm afraid you just have to learn or they'll be given to you. So let's say you were given the ions for calcium and chloride and asked to write down what would be the formula for calcium chloride. Well, okay, first thing we do is we write down underneath the name of the compound the 2 ions, and then we have a look at their charges. You can see that the calcium is 2 plus, but the chloride is only 1 minus. So there aren't enough minuses to go round. So what we have to do is we have to have 2 chloride ions to balance up the 2 plus charge. So now we've got a ratio of 1 calcium to 2 chlorides. And so when we write the formula, we write calcium, invisible 1 that only the pixies can see, and then chlorine 2. So the formula is CaCl2. Note that when you write the formula, you forget about the charges because they've all been balanced, and overall the calcium chloride is going to be neutral. Let's do a few more. We've got sodium hydroxide. Now the sodium ion is Na+, and the hydroxide ion is OH-. So we've already got a 1 plus and a 1 minus. They balance up on a 1-to-1 ratio. So the formula here is quite straightforward, just NaOH. When we look at sodium sulfate, we've got a 1 plus sodium ion and a 2 minus sulfate ion. So we haven't got enough plus charges, so we have to have another sodium ion to give us our 2 pluses to balance up the 2 minus. So when we write the formula, it's Na2 and then SO4 invisible 1. Copper sulfate has got a 2 plus charge for the copper and a 2 minus charge for the sulfate. So here we've got equal number of plus and minus charges, so it's just a 1-to-1 ratio. Cu invisible 1, SO4 invisible 1. And then we've got ammonium sulfate. Now ammonium is NH4 1 plus, sulfate SO4 2 minus. So we've got a 1 plus and a 2 minus. So we need 2 1 plus ions to balance up the 2 minus charge. So when we come to write this one, we write NH4 twice up, but that looks like NH42. In fact, it's the whole of the NH4 which has been doubled, so we put it in a bracket with a 2 after it, showing that everything in the NH4 has been doubled, and then we write SO4, just invisible 1. And here's a past paper question, in fact the only past paper question I could find on this particular topic. Seawater contains many different ions. Look at the table, it shows the composition of seawater, and you're told the various ions in there and the formula of each of those ions. It says that evaporating away the water will give it a mixture of salts, and one of these is potassium sulfate, but what's its formula? Okay, well let's look for the potassium first of all. Here's the potassium, and potassium ion is K+, and then it's got sulfate in it. The sulfate ion is SO4 2-. So a bit of working here. We've got potassium ion and the sulfate ion. So we've got a 1 plus and a 2 charge. So we need to have 2 of these 1 plus charges to balance up the 2 minus. So when we write the formula, we write K and then we write how many we've got of them, 2, and then SO4, how many we've got of those, just 1 of them. So it's K2SO4.